So hello everyone. So welcome to our webinar session, about pricing optimization and how you can survive with pricing optimization in the e-commerce industry. So before moving on, like I'm seeing many people who have joined from like the US, UK, and Australia, even Turkey, and I'm seeing a lot of people. And so hi once again, and I have to remind you that you can use the chat over here to say anything you want to ask to us, or don't hesitate to like get in and ask anything or say hi. So yeah, hi from Berlin. nice to hear from you. Hi Tran. So before I want to get into like what we've been up to in pricing for the last 80 days. As you can guess, like everyone else, we're working from home. Our entire team is working from home, and without any setbacks. We have also improved our efficiencies, and thanks to our team and our founders, And the second thing, but most importantly, what we had was we've helped numerous companies, or hundreds of e-commerce companies, who were affected by this terrible COVID pandemic, with our e-commerce support program. And because we had to do something to these companies, and we had to help in some way that we can do. So, and not relevant to that, but we've also acquired one of our competitors in UK, and we've increased our coverage and customer base. And hi to as well, Carlos, and we've increased our coverage in the UK as well. So, that was the 80-day summary of what we had been going on in pricing, and now I want to cut it short, and if you have such stories as that, and if you have any other story or success story, doesn't matter, failure story, just write to us. We'd love to hear from you, and I want to keep it short, and I want to bring Borj into our session today, which he is the co-founder, one of the founders and CEO, where they made this possible. They made this thing. We've to strive through these hard, difficult times, and he's going to talk about why e-commerce businesses can't survive pricing optimization, because e-commerce is the center of pricing is the center of e-commerce, and it's getting much more important than ever before. And these, everyone's budging into this e-commerce world. Everyone's trying to sell online, etc. And pricing is really the center of e-commerce. So I want to bring Borj to the stage, and I'm going to go silent. And thank you for joining again. So let me get Borj over here, and yep. So yeah. And so welcome, Borj, to this webinar session. Nice to have you here.
Yeah, same here. By the way, you kind of forgot to introduce yourself, so maybe I can do that on behalf of you. So let me also introduce our marketing manager, Yiğit Koçak, who actually made this webinar possible with our marketing team. Thanks to other folks in the team, Kaan, Betül, Başak. So with the excitement of the event, you might have forgotten that. I didn't want to skip that. I will come to my introduction just in a while. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you too. So I'm going silent, and yeah. All right. See you. Bye-bye.
All right. So as Yiğit mentioned, first of all, let me actually maximize the presentation that I will go through. So we will today talk about why e-commerce businesses can't really survive without pricing optimization. So this topic has been in our agenda, by the way, for obviously years, because we have been in the business for about 7 years or so. So we have been helping e-commerce companies from all around the world in this specific topic of pricing optimization for years. But believe it or not, recently this kind of got really hot, because you might have already observed everything became e-commerce eventually, and in e-commerce, due to many factors that we will discuss in a short while, pricing has also become really important. And just before jumping into the topic, let me also really briefly introduce myself. So as Yiğit already like mentioned, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Pricing, which is basically a competitor price tracking and dynamic pricing software for e-commerce companies of all sizes. So currently, like as of 2020, we are currently helping like hundreds of e-commerce companies from more than 50 countries. So the majority of our client base is like small and medium-sized businesses from all around the world. And like thanks to our automation, thanks to our software, we help those merchants, help those e-commerce companies to like price their products both competitively, but also at the same time always the profitability in mind. So we never really force our customers to a race to the bottom, as I will explain in a while. We also try to like help them to price their products both profitably and competitively. So also a bit about myself in a personal way. I'm really interested in e-commerce, like all things e-commerce, not necessarily like our company pricing, but I really like many different fields of e-commerce. And like also I am especially interested in like data-driven approach applied to this specific area of business. And like fortunately, as I'm really also in this pricing area, I write, I blog, and also I try to speak in such events like internal or external events around e-commerce pricing. So let's then just jump into basically to the market before really discussing why pricing optimization is a thing. So before really seeing the value of pricing optimization, we should really see the importance of price in the global market, and especially in global e-commerce market. So as you see here in these two charts, this basically translates to the fact that people currently have less money to spend on shopping as of today, because in past their non-discretionary expenditures were relatively less than as of today, but they also had relatively less income. But as you see in the chart above, like especially education part has been a real burden in millennials. So they currently need to spend way more than their previous generations. So because of that, they really became more and more price sensitive. And also, in addition to this price sensitivity, there are also many factors affecting the market, such as trade wars, especially between US and China and many other parts of the world, climate crisis, and also this recent pandemic stink that I'm not really going to focus too much on that. We are trying to get over that. So, but it's also a thing. So it really also affects the market. So price sensitivity is a real thing. That's what I want to emphasize here. And also in line with that, obviously, as I just said earlier, everything is kind of becoming digital. So digitalization is no longer really a trend, but it's actually a must for survival. So especially when we look into retail, we can really easily conclude that retail is simply becoming e-commerce. So digitalization in retail is simply e-commerce. So combining these two slides, we can easily say that we are now actually acting within a really a market with tons of price sensitive shoppers in the e-commerce market. So this is the market that we are talking about today. And these transformations also, things that we cannot really easily control. So the fact that the consumers are getting more price conscious, and also due to the ease of launching digital businesses, today, thanks to companies like, like e-commerce enablement tech companies like Shopify and stuff, you can simply pop up your own e-commerce store easily. And there are new competitors for companies, popping up every day. And due to these two facts combined, businesses really need to compete on price. But while doing that, in order to survive, in order to sustain their businesses, they also need to manage their resources effectively. And at the same time, they need to react to these, business competition, mainly driven by price, by applying pricing optimization. So we are really trying to figure out how to solve this pricing optimization puzzle in a resource efficient way, in an automated way, in a sense. So before just jumping into the best practices, let's say, the method to do so, let's first take a quick look into a real business story of one of our existing customers, Just Tools from Australia. So they are a premier tools supplier operating for over 40 years. So we are dealing with their e-commerce operations. So before using this type of automation, like software, like pricing, they were conducting all this pricing analysis, competitive pricing analysis manually. So while doing that, they were simply tracking prices from more than 30 or 40 products, and they were benchmarking the prices for those products across only about 10 major competitors. And due to this limited number of products, they were only able to capture and maybe react upon like 50 or 20 price changes a week. So really limited amount of price changes per week, recorded by only manual efforts. And these manual efforts simply took 2 days of their week. So they were really spending 2 days of their week on a really limited amount of, I don't know, data collected. So this was simply ridiculous. And in his own words, by the way, Luke is from Just Tools company, so this is, and he is our contact in our software company. So he was saying that they had a lot of like competitors popping up every day, and this manual effort was simply inefficient, and also at the same time it was really insufficient. And let's focus a little more on the unmanageability of this pricing optimization, basically manually. So needless to say, there is a drastic increase in the frequency of changes of prices across the market, and this is actually the same thing for all industries. So we cannot really only say that this is the fact for consumer electronics, but this is not the fact for cosmetics or whatsoever. This is really becoming a norm across all industries in e-commerce. And especially, if you are competing against Amazon, I don't know how, but if you are doing so, on Amazon, product prices change nearly every 10 minutes or so. And in order to really respond to these price changes, in order to be competitive, you need to respond to these price changes by also adjusting your prices near real time. And also doing this manually, just referring back to Luke's words, I mean, collecting about 100 products prices across 10 to 15 competitors takes nearly a day, so about 19 hours. And this was also recorded by one of our old customers, our existing customers, who were also doing this manually. So, I mean, as you can see here, this is something that you really need to do, but you should also accept the fact that you cannot really do this in a manual way. So you really need to apply some automation. And this boils down to the best practices in a way. So what needs really to be done? It can be broken down into a few steps. So in order to obviously get data-driven and become data-driven, you initially need to collect some data in the right way. And in the right way, I mean, it shouldn't be, again, manually. And also, other than that, while collecting the data, you should have some integrity in your database. Let's say if you are collecting data from this website, that website, this shouldn't be getting lost in different Excel files, error-prone methods and stuff, but you should instead store all this data in a single database, a single file, or single dashboard, or whatever. And while doing that, you should be able to collect all these competitor prices and update your own prices accordingly. So there should really be a system in place. I mean, this shouldn't be a random process running around. You should really have a single database being fed by live competitor prices. And also, while doing that, you should always have automation in mind. And that's how we actually collect all these competitor prices at pricing. So it's an automated competitor price tracking engine, which goes to the web and collects simply your competitor prices and stores all that information into a single web dashboard. So after collecting all this data, it never ends. So simply, you should be continuously testing the right prices in accordance to these competitor prices. So in order to, for example, get the early traction or maybe get more further growth to your store, you can benchmark the average prices in the market, and you might really try to go more attractive by offering like below average prices. But on the contrary, if you would like to improve your profit margins for the good selling, like best selling products, maybe you can try to test increasing your prices gradually and see the changes in the demand. So if they are not changing that much, you might be losing money on the table. So you might simply strategically increase your profit margins by applying that. And also, you should always keep in mind that you should never stop testing prices, because one price, for example, might be the optimal price in a particular day, but maybe a week to come, it might simply change because your competitors might be also changing prices. So another layer of pricing optimization can also be explained as analyzing insights. So in the first two steps, we mentioned that you should collect data and react upon that. But also at the same time, while collecting all that data, you can also sometimes lean back, sit back, and check out what this data really tells you in a bigger picture in a way. So you can simply maybe see certain trends in the market across your competitors. So you can maybe notice that, let's say, one of your competitors are applying a strategic discount on Friday afternoons because they think that, I don't know, white-collar people are getting out work on Friday afternoon and they're in a happy mood, so they would like to respond into certain discounts, which generates a lot of sales for that competitor. So you might detect such certain discounting, let's say, strategies across your competitors. And also, by using these insights, you can even develop counter strategies. And after doing that, you can actually learn this behavior of your competitor, and you can more proactively respond into those counter strategies. So this is actually another crucial way to utilize this automation. So after collecting it, you should be always, trying to respond to those like competitor prices in the market. But other than that, you should also spend some time in analyzing all this data being collected at the same time. So after discussing all these, let's say, best practices of collecting data, testing price, and also analyzing from time to time, we should obviously also tell you how this all resulted for Just Tools, right? So I mentioned to you that they were actually tracking all these prices manually for a limited amount of products, and it was absolutely insufficient and inefficient. So the way it ended was simply beyond survival. So referring to the title of this webinar, I mean, the thing that we are trying to emphasize, I mean, they achieved something beyond survival. So they grew their revenues. Actually, they accelerated their already growing sales at a 5.5% from 1%. So they were growing about like 1% month over month. So this came nearly to 6% month over month. And in exchange of like, I don't know, $200 of monthly subscription into pricing, they made an extra revenue of $18,000. So like, it's a really, really huge return on investment for an extra amount of like revenue generated. And obviously, needless to say, they saved tons of time. I mean, they improved their time efficiency like nearly 3 times because they didn't need to, check out all these products one by one. Instead, they had this single data dashboard collecting all these competitor prices on behalf of them, letting them to price their products competitively. And also at the same time, they were able to analyze what we have been collecting for them. So they really achieved all these figures in a way. So to wrap things up, I mean, to basically go through this e-commerce pricing automation best practices, what I really tried to tell you here today is that you need to get rid of all error-prone methods. So, I mean, you should really forget about collecting data manually. You should really forget about messing this data via email chains, I don't know, Excel files, different folders and stuff. You should really have, you should make sure that you have this pricing integrity. I mean, collecting a database in an integral way. And also, you should be reacting to this fact of market becoming more price sensitive because of the many facts that I mentioned in the beginning, like trade wars, I don't know, climate crisis, pandemics and stuff, and also the case with millennials who need to spend more than they earn in the current economic terms. And also, while setting these prices competitively, companies should always keep in mind that they should be continuously testing their prices with the data being collected by software. And again, don't forget to lean back, sit back, and try to figure out right ways to analyze the data and maybe come up with, like, I don't know, long-term, let's say, counter strategies. So this should really require some amount of, let's say, I would say thinking and just a small amount of investment to kind of switch things into automation, and obviously to help you with your survival. So this is basically the material that we really plan to provide you today. So we didn't want to take much of your time, like more than 15-20 minutes or so. But if you would like to obviously discuss about this specific topic or anything about e-commerce or anything about pricing, please feel free to email me via my direct email address given here, burch@pricing.com. Alternatively, simply try to find me on LinkedIn with my name and last name, Burç Tanir, or simply visit our website, say hi from our live chat box, or simply sign up for our 14-day free trial to figure out how this automation might look like for you. And also feel free to, again, ping our team from the live chat box to ask any of your questions further. So I would really like to thank anyone watching us today live, or alternatively, who will be also watching the recording later on. Many thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you, Burç. It was like so many information at a like very fast pace, and like so if you have any other questions, guys, please do, because like we're here for like for 1 or 2 minutes or so, and just like benefit from Burç a lot, because he has some like very ground stuff that he's talking about here, and there are so many ways that we can have like ask questions and gain some insights from this. And yeah, so we can like implement those things to our mindset first, and then for our e-commerce company, and I think it will go to a way to a like better or successful thing for your company. So like if you have questions, please ask, guys.
Yeah. By the way, I'm also really happy to see people from Romania, Colombia, Berlin, different parts of I don't know, let's say e-commerce globe. It's also really nice to have everyone here.
Yeah, so many different countries, and great countries as well. Like it's good that it's an international thing, but I think like we're not getting any questions. Like we can wait like one
Yeah,
minute
in
or
the
so.
meantime, maybe just before maybe receiving, we might also tell the folks who are like watching live that we will be actually trying to generate more and more webinars like this one. I mean, really small, like 15-20 minutes content delivered live or as a video again after you sign up to the material. We will be talking further in the coming months about different pricing strategies, not necessarily this high-level introduction into pricing optimization, but really some different pricing strategies like cost-based pricing, I don't know, competitive pricing and stuff. And also maybe we can share more material about our product itself in the coming months or so. So I would really encourage people to follow our updates on our LinkedIn page, Twitter profile, and whatsoever. And maybe another thing that I might really try to sneak in here is that we are also running a pricing certificate program. So if people might be interested in, let's say, polishing up their e-commerce pricing knowledge, we are running an e-commerce pricing certification program, which currently started to, give its first graduates. So you might start seeing people with their LinkedIn certificates, signed by me on their LinkedIn profiles, which says that they are now, you just shared the certification link. So you can simply sign up for that certification, which is an email certification program, where you will be receiving daily dose of emails, which will go through different topics about e-commerce pricing. And after that, we will be applying you a simple, like, I don't know, pricing knowledge test. And if you can get the desired score out of that test, we will be also delivering your signed, again, certification, which you can place on LinkedIn. So if you would like to see how it really looks like, you can simply search the term e-commerce pricing certification on LinkedIn and see the folks who have already added that into your LinkedIn profile. So if that's any relevant for you guys, simply follow the link that you shared and know more about e-commerce pricing.
Yeah, great, awesome.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say, but like to follow our social media, and like we will be coming up with, as Borj mentioned, with new topics.
Yeah.
And we're going to break down multiple stuff about e-commerce pricing and tips in general, like for e-commerce folks out there. So yeah, and any other content as well. So thanks again, Borj.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for everyone else, for joining.
Yeah.
So
stay safe, everyone. Take care.
Yeah, stay safe.
Bye.